Okay, let's talk about the AI revolution. Because, it's not just about chatbots anymore, right? We've moved way past that. We're talking about personal super agents. And right now, there's this huge battle brewing for the future of your digital life. On one side, you've got the established giant, OpenClaw. And on the other, the super smart challenger, Hermes. So today, we're diving deep into the super agent showdown.
And look, this isn't some pie in the sky, far off future stuff. No way. This is happening right now. The whole idea of an AI that's always on, running 24/7 in the background, just managing your entire digital world, yeah, that's not science fiction anymore. It's officially landed on our own hardware. So the question we got to ask ourselves isn't if this is happening, but how it's happening.
So before we jump into the big players, let's make sure we're all on the same page. What even is a personal super agent? Well, it's definitely not just another app you open and close. Think of it more like infrastructure. It's this always-on AI layer that's woven into everything you do online, your emails, your work projects, all your messaging apps. And here's the kicker. It doesn't just chat with you. It actually gets things done.
All right, so leading the charge in this whole revolution are two major projects, OpenClaw and Hermes Agent. Now, they're both free, they're both open source, and you run them on your own gear. But, and this is a big but, they have completely different ideas about how an AI agent should think, how it should act, and how it should grow. So let's kick things off at the big one, the Titan, OpenClaw.
Okay, first up, OpenClaw. This is the undisputed king of scale. Seriously, if you've heard of any personal agent, it's probably this one. It is an absolute monster, a dominant force in the ecosystem. And its entire architecture, its whole reason for being, is built for one thing: breadth. So how does this thing actually work? Well, OpenClaw is built to be a central gateway. You can think of it like an air traffic control tower for your digital life. All your messages and tasks come flying in, and this gateway intelligently routes them to the perfect skill or tool to handle the job. It's a very top-down system, you know? Developers build these static skills, you install them, and that dictates what it can do. And when I say it's popular, I mean, it's just staggering. We're talking over 345,000 stars on GitHub. That makes it the most starred software project on the entire platform, period. So this isn't some little niche tool for hobbyists. It is a full-blown phenomenon, with this enormous community of developers constantly building for it. And that massive community, it's given OpenClaw an absolutely incredible reach. The agent can connect to more than 50 different messaging platforms. Yeah, you've got the usual suspects, Telegram, Slack, WhatsApp, all that, but it also plugs into regional giants like QQ and Line. Honestly, if you need an agent that is literally everywhere at once, OpenClaw is pretty much your only option. And this, right here, this is its core strength. It's all about the ecosystem. Its marketplace, which is called ClawHub, has over 44,000 pre-built skills ready to go. Think about that. Need to manage your DeFi portfolio? Automate your smart home? Triage customer support tickets? With OpenClaw, the odds are ridiculously high that someone's already built the tool you need. That's the power we're talking about. All right, so that's the giant. Now let's meet the challenger, Hermes Agent. This one's the new kid on the block, launched in early 2026, and a lot of people are saying it's the smarter contender. See, Hermes isn't trying to go head-to-head with OpenClaw on sheer size. No, its game is totally different. It's all about depth and intelligence. Hermes is built around this completely different philosophy they call learning first. So it's not a gateway that just pulls from a library of skills you download. Nope. It's an autonomous runtime. It watches what it does, it learns from its actions, and, this is the really cool part, it creates its own skills based on its experiences. Okay, this right here is Hermes' killer feature. It's called the closed learning loop, and honestly, it's incredible. Here's the gist. After it completes about 15 tasks, the agent literally pauses to think. It reflects on what it just did, evaluates its own performance, and figures out what actually worked. Then it rates a brand new, better skill for itself to use next time. It literally gets smarter all on its own, without anyone needing to step in.
So what does this all boil down to? It's a fundamental trade-off, really. Breadth versus depth. OpenClaw gives you that unmatched breadth right out of the box. If you need something that just works today and connects to a specific service, it's your go-to. Hermes, though, it's playing the long game. It's for the person who wants to invest time in an agent that gets smarter and more personalized, compounding in value over weeks and months.
Okay, so we've got the philosophies down. Now it's time to see how they actually stack up where it counts. We're going to look at 3 key battlegrounds: security, performance, and memory. And trust me, this is where those trade-offs get really clear. And let's kick things off with a bit of a horror story about security. This quote, it's from a viral tweet that just perfectly captures how high the stakes are. A developer told their OpenClaw agent to confirm before acting, and instead, it just started speedrunning the deletion of their entire inbox. They literally had to sprint to their machine to pull the plug. It sounds dramatic, but it's a very real example of what can go wrong when an agent has that much power.
When you look at security, the difference between these two is just night and day. OpenClaw's explosive growth and its totally unvetted marketplace, well, it's led to some major problems. We're talking critical vulnerabilities, token theft, and literally over 1,400 malicious skills found on ClawHub. You can lock it down, but you have to do it yourself, very carefully. Hermes, on the other hand, was built with security as a top priority from day one. It's got things like a read-only file system and built-in scanning for prompt injection. It's secure by default, and so far, it hasn't had any major incidents.
All right, what about speed? This one's interesting because it's not just a simple race. OpenClaw is a beast when it comes to raw speed. It's built for high-frequency stuff, like routing tons of messages for a team, and it's got a super low latency, under 1.2 seconds. But Hermes wins in a different kind of race. For complex, long-term tasks, it's actually up to 40% faster. Why? Because that learning loop lets it figure things out up front and avoid making the same mistakes twice. It's not about raw speed. It's about cognitive autonomy.
And that performance difference really comes down to memory, which is, the core of any agent's intelligence. OpenClaw keeps it simple. It uses markdown files and daily notes. It's super straightforward, easy for a human to read and debug. Hermes, though, has this really sophisticated 4-layer system. It's got short-term memory for what it's doing right now, a long-term archive for important events, that library of skills it builds for itself, and it can even connect to outside data. The whole thing is designed for one purpose, to remember things over the long haul.
So after all that, we get to the big question. Which one should you actually choose? And the real answer is it's not about which one is better overall. It's about which one is the right tool for the job you have in mind. So let's get to the final verdict and give you some clear advice. But before we do that, there's something really important you should know. This isn't an either-or situation. It's not a zero-sum game. See, both OpenClaw and Hermes are adopting the same industry standards. There are things like the Model Context Protocol for connecting to tools and the Agent Communication Protocol for talking to other agents. And you know what that means? It means they can actually work together, like a team.
Okay, so here's the bottom line. You should go with OpenClaw if you need something that works right now, today. Or if you need to support a ton of different channels, or if you're building something for a whole team. On the flip side, you should choose Hermes if your main goal is an agent that gets better over time, if security is your absolute top priority, and if you're after that deep personal touch. And for the real power users out there, you use both. Seriously, you run a hybrid stack. Use OpenClaw for the routing and the breadth, and use Hermes for the deep learning. That's the pro move.
And hey, if you're leaning towards OpenClaw and you really want to dive into that massive ecosystem, the community over at OpenClaw Toronto is a fantastic place to start. They've got builder cafes, demo nights, all kinds of stuff to get you plugged in. So that leaves us with one final question for you. Which path are you gonna choose? Are you going to bet on the immediate power of a giant ecosystem, or on the compounding intelligence of an agent that literally evolves with you? The super agent revolution is officially here. And the choice you make, well, that's going to define the future of your own personal AI.
Okay,